The old adage goes, a wipe a day keeps the deep clean away, or something to that effect anyway, and I reckon we should apply this principle to our indoor plants. For those of us with a few plants in our home, it should be a maintenance a week keeps the brown leaves and heartache away. Oh, that doesn't rhyme. Anyway, the point is that indoor plant care is about the little things we do every week or even every day to keep our plants firing on all cylinders. It's useless letting them fester for months and months on our windowsills and then panicking when we realise they're on death's door. So I'm going to share with you my simple plant care routine that I try my best to stick to every week to make sure my little green buddies stay looking their charming best. Most of the time. Just don't look at my allocations, okay? They're a blot on my otherwise nearly impeccable record. So, Houseplant 101 is watering. Any houseplant video on YouTube wouldn't be complete without the presenter making watering plants a confusing matter. But luckily for you, I like to keep it nice and simple. Because it really is when you follow my basic principle, which is to only water your plants when the soil is dry. But how on earth do we know if the soil is dry? By whipping out Mr. Sheffield's #1 affiliate link, the moisture meter, probing your little green misters every week and watering them when the soil reads dry. It's really that simple, and something I've been preaching on this channel for what must feel like millennia to my long-suffering subscribers, but you really can't go wrong. If you've not got a moisture meter, then you can of course use your fingers, but I find mine to be wholly unreliable. My fingers tell me it's dry, but the meter tells me it's wet. A confusion that will kill a plant in no time. If I've somehow convinced you need one, then check out my Amazon store linked in the description. So yes, getting the watering right is the quickest way to becoming the hero of your house. Get it wrong and things like root rot can start to take hold, and your plants will start to plan a coup behind your back to get rid of you. And who can blame them? Only water when the soil is dry. That's for the folks at the back who weren't paying attention. Yeah, you. Now, our plants need their Weetabix just as much as you and me, so it's a great idea to be giving them some food to keep their energy levels up to make full use of the sunlight coming into your home. But don't literally give them Weetabix, they're not really a fan. I give mine Houseplant Focus by Growth Technology every time I water, and I've not had too many complaints. Every time you water, Mr. Sheffield? That's far too much, you donut. Calm down now, kid, let me explain. You see, I'm not the sharpest knife in the kitchen, and I don't mind admitting it, and to keep it as simple as possible, and to make sure I don't forget when I fertilise what last, I add a diluted amount of feed to every watering can I make up. The instructions say to add a teaspoon to every litre of water every 2 weeks, so I add half a teaspoon every time I water, because I tend to need to water my green pals once a week. Hopefully I got my maths correct. Anyway, it just takes the stress away of having to remember what I did a week ago. I can barely remember what I did 10 minutes ago, so it's the best way, honestly. And to that water and fertiliser mixture, I always make sure I add a few drops of API Stress Go to stop all that brown leaf malarkey that calophyas and whatnot are so renowned for. Then have no fear, I'll leave a link to a video all about it in the top right corner. But make the algorithm gods happy by watching after this one, alright? Whilst I'm lovingly watering my plants, I always use that as an opportunity to give them a little look over, a checkup so to speak. Is there any yellowing or browning of the leaves? If there is, then I usually trim them out, after I've had a little cry of course. If it's just a leaf here or there, then I try not to panic too much. It's just par for the course for an indoor plant. Leaves age, they turn yellow and fall off. Normal. In fact, I tend to just leave yellowing leaves to do their thing until they eventually fall off by themselves. If the whole plant is turning yellow though, then something's up that I need to fix. No, not that, you savage. I mean checking the roots and whatnot. Not everything needs to go in the bin. Anyway, a regular checkup really does keep the doctor away. Oh damn it, that doesn't rhyme either. I'll nail it in this video, I swear. Now, this next tip is actually something I should do more often than I actually do, but I add it to the mix anyway. Cleaning. Yes, I know, sitting there cleaning each of our plant's leaves individually really is the last thing we want to be doing, and I can't say I always keep on top of it as much as I should, but it sure does pay off in the long run. Big leaf monsters like monsteras and calophyas are magnets for flying bits of dead skin and toenails. And who wants a thick coating of that on their collection? Well, your plants don't, that's who. Molly the Monster seems to have a constant coating of the grey stuff even though I clean her off on a semi-regular basis. Maybe that says a bit too much about my house and the people that live in it though. Anywho, if you can't be bothered to wipe the leaves every week, and I don't blame you by the way, then a good little hack is to take them outside every month or so and give them a good spray down. They'll photosynthesize much easier and will thank you with extra lush leaves, plus little terrors like spider mites and thrips will have a hard time hanging out with all that extra cleaning. Speaking of photosynthesis, let's talk about rotation. Yeah, let's talk about how in one video you say to rotate your plants every 30 seconds and then in the next you say it's the worst thing since sliced bread. Feisty little aren't you? Rotating is the best thing since sliced bread for most plants. Those that are bushy. We're talking trads, calophyas and spider plants etc. Let's all sides see the light and all the even growth that it brings. For the suckers that are climbing up planks of wood or moss bowls like philodendron, pothos and monstera, rotation ain't gonna work out so well. They'll be twisting and shouting for you to stop it. Look at this Monstera adansonii and this treleaf trellis. She wouldn't know if she was coming or going if I rotated her all the time, bless her. And by the way, isn't this trellis a beautiful thing? It's made by treleaf, like I say, and the details in the description. Well worth a look. Now, rotating applies to those beasts that sit under your grow lights too. Obviously, grow lights don't move around like the sun, so a cheeky little rotate every once in a while will give you much more even growth. I do this to mind the penthes every other day because one half tends to sit in good light and the other in darkness. Not a great look for a specimen that craves the light as much as this guy. So I mentioned the horrors of yellowing and browning leaves earlier and how you can cut them off to spruce up your little fella and make you feel better about yourself, but this doesn't just have to be when things are going wrong. I'm always pruning and shaping my plants to my liking and have no remorse despite all the screaming and shouting. Only joking of course. I've learned over the years to not be so precious about them. I like to think of leaves as hair. They always grow back. Well, for some people anyway. If you're not happy with how something is growing, then cut it off. Maybe a jade branch is growing a bit lanky and too much to the side, and have no fear, young apprentice, cut it off. You'll get 2 branches to replace the one you cut off, you lucky thing. And have no fear about pruning in winter, it's not a big deal. Most of the time, lots of our plants continue to happily grow in winter, unless you're an annoying alocasia that goes dormant, so a prune would be perfectly fine. And if it's not growing all that much, it just means new growth will be delayed till spring. I pruned my adansonii at the beginning of winter and I'm still waiting for some action like a patient saint. But the important thing is they're still with us. The prune didn't kill him. Now, I could be really annoying and say that I check the roots of my plants every week to make sure they're not root bound, but honestly, only a mad person would do that. Pulling their trousers down and giving everything an inspection is something I only really do once a year. Really? I've not seen you check that Aglaonema since you bought it 3 years ago, Sonny. You again? Will you just be quiet? As I was saying, I don't get everything out and make a mess every week, but I do like to have a look at the bottom to see if anything cheeky is poking out of the drainage holes. If roots are starting to show themselves, then it's a safe bet that things are getting a little crowded inside and might need rehoming into a bigger space. If nothing is rearing its ugly head, then happy days. No extra work for me that week. I mentioned the troubles I've been having with my philodendron melanocrisis not unfurling its leaves properly in a recent video, and most of the feedback seemed to be that it was struggling with low humidity. And this makes perfect sense now that I think about it. This issue plagues me most in winter with the central heating on and all that dry air swirling around. So I'm now in the habit of checking for any leaves that are struggling to unfurl and giving them a spritz with my trusty spray bottle to help them along. An annoying but necessary evil, my plant friend, when you have fussy plants in your collection. I tell you, if the melanocrisis doesn't start behaving properly this year, he's destined only for one place. I've had enough. This next little tip is plant gold, my plant friend, and will make or break your plant. I mentioned watering earlier, and something I always monitor is how quickly the water drains through the soil. But you bottom water, Mr. Sheffield. Jeez, why are you still here? Yes, I bottom water about 80% of the time, okay? I still top water a few. Now, I don't want to hear from you again. When I do top water, I want to see that the water is going through the soil quickly. If it's lingering too long on top, it can only mean one thing, that the soil is no good. It's either so old it's become hydrophobic, or it's too dense and not allowing water to run through freely. Either way, this will lead to unhappy roots. I recommend changing it to something like Universal Potting Mix by Cybertanica, link in the description. So, watering is the most important thing to get right for our green buddies, but in close second is light. Let there be light and all that. Check out this philodendron verrucosum right in front of my east-facing dining room window. The leaves are a bit small and the petioles are thin and stretched out. Compare that to this verrucosum that sits under my Sansi grow light, and his leaves are much bigger and his arms and legs are much bigger and hairier too. Now the truth is, these plants are twins. They were born at the same time when I propagated from their mother last year. One has been blessed with good light and the other not so much. Sorry mate, you've borne the brunt of my useless experiment, but I'll make it up to you with a double dose of fertilizer, okay? The moral of the story here is to monitor the leaves and stems of your little green mister. Looking a bit puny, then try upping your light game. And if you're on the market for a decent grow light, then check out my link to a 10% discount off Sansi linked in the description. By the way, I won't really be giving a double dose of fertilizer. I only reserved that for those that I want to get rid of. Now, when I was worrying you earlier about roots coming out of the holes of the pot and that meaning that your plant is root bound, there is one specimen that this isn't so much of an issue for. Monstera. Yes, Monstera actually benefit from being a little snug in their pot, and in the video linked on the screen now I explain why, so click on it for your next viewing pleasure so you don't miss out. And subscribe if you like what you see. See you next time. A checkup a week keeps your plants from looking meek. Nailed it!